Guys. Hey, what's up, YouTube? I don't believe that this was this guy's first time killing, and the reason why is because if you look at this video, you'll see that he looks calm, getting out of the vehicle. Um, Also, he's been studying criminology. I think they need to look at unsolved cases in the past in order to convict him for because I don't believe that this was his first time killing. I don't think someone's first time killing is killing four people. I think this is something that he did before, plan to do in the future, and did this time as well. Check this out. Check this out. Look at his face. Just looks calm. Looks like they finally caught me. But I don't think it's these murders that he was worried about. I think there's other murders that he possibly done that he's thinking about. Just look at how he walks. Someone who's completely innocent, like his family is saying, and is looking to be exonerated on all charges. I don't believe that they act this way, so it's very strange. And you're gonna hear a FBI expert actually say the same thing. So check this out.
How you feeling?
How's it going, Bryan?
Are you ready to go to Idaho?
Bryan, did you do it? You last time in Pennsylvania, Bryan.
It's eerie how calm he looks. Now let's check out the FBI expert who corroborates exactly what I'm saying.
As we learn more about the suspect in this gruesome case, we want to bring in ABC contributor Brad Garrett, who was a hostage negotiator and profiler for the FBI for 17 years. Hey, Brad, thank you so much for joining us. So much of Kohberger's education has come into focus after he was named a suspect. He received a bachelor's degree from DeSales University, completed graduate studies there, and just ended his first semester as a PhD student of criminology at Washington State. You hold a PhD in criminology yourself. Explain to us, if you would, what you learn in that kind of program.
So you learn a lot about the psyche of people who commit crime. Obviously, Lindsay, there's multiple indicators or motivators of why people do domestic violence, why they commit robberies, why they commit mass murder or serial murder. And so you sort of get into the heads of all those people. You also learn about crime scenes, about what to look for, and you get a real indicator about how the whole system works, basically, how police investigate cases, etc. Because your job, once you leave graduate school, is to be the person that can look at crimes and figure out what happened and why it happened.
How could this knowledge that Kohberger held, a deep understanding of crime scenes and knowledge of how the system works, how could that all factor into the prosecutor's case against him?
Well, first of all, they could say that he has a big interest in crime. Well, obviously, if this is what you study, if you're a doctor and you are a pulmonary specialist, you look at that stuff all the time. So I suppose he could use that. My sense would be the following, is that this suspect is different than most homicide offenders. In other words, the typical murder is driven by rage, jealousy, greed, domestic, whatever it might be, but it's not psychologically driven. Serial killers, and I'm not suggesting this guy is a serial killer, but serial killers are driven by the satisfaction and the puzzle and the excitement and the risk of killing people. This crime early on sort of struck me of all of those variables. In particular, when they didn't come up with a suspect that was apparently in sort of a relationship of some part with the suspect.
Sources tell ABC that the police found Kohberger through DNA found at the scene. The DNA was uploaded to a public genealogy database. Investigators found relatives, and that led them to Kohberger. How common is it to link suspects to genealogy sites?
Now, guys, I'm going to say, think about it for a second, right? Someone who is a serial killer, do you think their first crime is this mass media quadruple murder? Or do you think that that person would probably commit a murder on one person and then graduate to killing multiple people after getting away with it multiple times? So I think this is something that they definitely need to look into in other cases in Pennsylvania, Washington State University, because I believe if there was kids that went missing, unsolved cases, I think they need to try to link that DNA to different crime scenes that been happening since he's been in the area.
Well, it's becoming more and more common. I mean, if you go back, I suppose the most recent well-known case would be the Golden State Killer. And he got linked 30 years plus after he apparently stopped killing people through genetic genealogy, which, as you may well know, are public databases. You sign up, basically doing ancestral stuff on your own background to figure out relatives, etc., where you came from. Well, police have figured out that they can use that same database to maybe locate an offender. So what happens is you have a DNA profile, but you don't know who it goes to. So you plug into maybe more than one database, and you get a partial hit. That's my term. They probably don't use that term, but a partial hit would be that there is some genetic connection to a person they have found in this database. And then they build off of that until they finally work their way down through looking at multiple records, death records, birth records, all sorts of things to get you down to, can we actually find the actual maybe parents or brother of the victim, or of the suspect, I'm sorry. And so I think that's what happened. Some version of that's what happened, and that's why they were able to link him up to his obvious DNA left at the scene.
In the weeks leading up to Kohberger's arrest, police were zeroing in on a white Elantra, saying that they believe someone inside had crucial information. Kohberger drove.
Now, when you look at the DNA, the evidence that they have on Kohberger too, this is all circumstantial. There were no eyewitnesses, but the only thing they have is a white Elantra and DNA evidence inside of that white Elantra. So, other than that, there's no eyewitnesses. There's no murder weapon. There's no person that said that they saw Kohberger or anything like that. So this case is going to be very interesting in court because that's sort of like ammo for his defense. I'm not sure if he's going to have a paid lawyer or defense or a public defender, but we'll see what happens in this case.
A white Elantra and even drove it across country with his father in mid-December. What is your thought about that trip? We know that the dad flew out to his son and then they drove all the way back to Pennsylvania in that Elantra.
Well, yes, there was information about an Elantra, and I do believe the police thought that this could be the bad guy's car. It was near the house, apparently, according to them. It was caught on a camera in a very fuzzy picture leaving the town. And so I think they felt there was some comfort and connection. They didn't have a tag number. Hyundai Elantras are not high volume, but there are several thousand of them in the United States in that year period of 2011 to 2013. So I think they're grappling. So once, you don't know what came first. I'm going to guess maybe the DNA came first. Then you figure it out. You can't just tell the entire United States law enforcement people, go find a white Elantra. You'd have to have more information, like a tag number, obviously, or something really unique about the car. And you'd have to say, it's wanted in a possible homicide in Moscow, Idaho. They didn't have, my sense would be, maybe by the middle of December, they didn't have all that together. And so as a result, father flies out and they drive across the country.
Brad Garrett, thank you so much for your time and insight as always.
All right, guys. What do you think about this? Do you think that Bryan Kohberger may have committed other murders in the past, or do you think that this was his first time, a first-time criminology student committing a quadruple murder, or do you think that he's been committing crimes in the past, possibly in the Moscow area or Washington State? Because I'm sure that's not the first female that rejected him. Supposedly Kaylee rejected him, and he's been stalking her since. I'm sure usually people like that, they have previous history, maybe exes or things like that, that had a similar experience. So please like this video. The more you like it, the more it can get out there. Comment your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys soon.